You're dialed in to CoogFans.com radio.
Hey, Coach, this is Mo with CoogFans. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. First of all, I just want to congratulate you on your success on becoming next U of H head football coach and giving us seniors that are leaving to pursue our careers on a really positive note. And I thank you so much for all you've done for our school so far.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, thank you for saying it. It's been a short time so far, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Well, the first question I wanted to ask you, when people think of like a dream job, think of different college football jobs, they usually think of LSU, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Why is U of H your dream job?
Well, why do they think of those schools as their dream job? I mean, U of H has so much to offer and in a number of ways, which I think is so unique among the 120 Division I football playing programs in a number of things. It's got great tradition. It's got great academics, and where it's located, every school, I've said this now for a couple months, and I'll say it again, every school in the country gets on an airplane during recruiting season and flies into Houston, Texas to recruit. And, when you have you look at the schools that have been successful consistently, and what most of them have in common is a great recruiting base, and that's what we have here. You can get in your automobile and drive through the greater Houston area and really the state of Texas still in your car and recruit great young men that have great character, are great academically, that want to play top Division I-A football, and you can win games with. So, you couple that with living in Houston, again, I don't have to tell you, but a city of 5 million people, the fourth largest city in the United States, with every type of person you'd like to meet, every type of food you'd like to eat, and any type of activity you'd like to do. And again, we've been here a little over 4 years, and I haven't shoveled snow yet. So for all those reasons, it's my dream job.
Actually, it certainly is a great place to be, and really appreciate you saying that. You worked with Coach Coleman since you've been at U of H. What have you learned from him, and how will you carry that throughout your career here as head coach at the University of Houston?
Say it one more time. Worked with who?
You worked with Coach Sumlin since you've been at U of H.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of people know this. I played for Coach Sumlin in college, so he and I go back 20 years, and I've learned from a number of head coaches that I've worked for and worked with, and no more than I've worked what I've learned from working with Coach Sumlin. He's a great man, a great leader, a great motivator, and a family man, and watching him. There's so many different ways, as you will, to skin a cat. I've been with Tommy Tuberville, and who's been extremely successful, Bobby Petrino, who's been extremely successful, John Fox, who has as well, and worked alongside other guys like Dana Holgerson, David Bailiff, and just to see the ways they all, obviously including Coach Sumlin, how they run their program and become so successful, working for him and seeing how he did it here for the last 4 years, really broadened my coaching horizon.
Well, I mean, U of H is also known for its speedy and fast receivers. Do you plan on continuing this type of offense, or do you want to add something a little different to the spectrum?
No, we're gonna continue this type of offense. And I think you see with not only the class we recruited this year and how much speed there is, but really the classes we've recruited the last couple of years. And I think it's a little bit, again, I'll use the word unique to our program and really to college football. I for the first time since January 2nd, 2 nights ago, I sat on my couch and watched the TV copy of the Ticket City Bowl against Penn State. And you look at, the thing that jumps out at you, but a number of things I think jumped out at me, but one thing in particular is how fast we are. And I think speed, again, you look at teams that have been successful, they've got a great recruiting base, and they've also got some fast players. So that's something we're going to continue to do. And not only offensively, but really defensively as well, and in the kicking game.
Right. certainly commendable win against Penn State. You hired Mike Nesbitt as the offensive coordinator. I know he's played for New Orleans Saints, and me growing up in New Orleans and being a Saints fan, it was really special for me to someone to coach from the Saints at my university. And I noticed his resume. He's coached at SFA. That usually doesn't stand out as a huge powerhouse, but what made him stand out compared to other candidates for the offensive coordinator position?
Well, a number of things. Again, I wanted continuity offensively, and we're following up. Really, the 2011 Houston offense is on paper the best offense in the history of college football. The first offense in the history of college football to go over 8,000 yards in a season. So, we're not going to come out next season and line up in two tight ends and two backs, or two backs and one tight end and run the power. We're gonna do what we've done here that's we've been successful with and what we've recruited to. So it narrows the pool a little bit in that respect, because the candidates had to be some sort of relative of the Leach offense, Holgorsen offense, Mummy offense, kind of that family. So I interviewed around 12 candidates over a 3 or 4 day period in early January, and actually interviewed a couple late December before the bowl game, and I kept coming back to him, and I didn't really know him before this whole process, and ended up he was the first candidate I interviewed, and after I went through all 12, called him again and brought him back for another interview, and did my due diligence, called every person known to man that's worked with him or worked he's worked under or knew him somehow, and did an extensive background check on him, not only as a coach but as a person, as a teacher, and I'm really, really excited about him directing our offense. I don't think, I think you make a mistake at times when you look at guys and say, well, he's coming from here, he's coming from there, I never heard of him, I never heard of that school. You could say that about a lot of successful coaches. A story I told for one time the other day, I was a graduate assistant coach at Auburn in 2000, and our offensive coordinator was a guy named Noel Mazzoni, and he called me one afternoon and he said, hey, come up here tomorrow. There's a coach from New Hampshire that we're gonna clinic on our offense. Okay, great. So the next day I came up. It was me, Coach Mazzoni, the OC at Auburn, and this offensive coordinator from New Hampshire. So Coach Mazzoni got up, and we were sitting in the room, and he started showing what we're doing in Auburn. And next thing you know, the coach from New Hampshire says, let me show you what we do at New Hampshire. And before you knew it, the tables were turned. He was clinicking us. And a few years later, his guy's name's Chip Kelly. A few years later, Oregon hired the offensive coordinator at New Hampshire to run their offense, and now he's head coach at Oregon. So, I'm not comparing necessarily Mike Nesbitt to Chip Kelly in terms of what's to be, but again, I think it's premature when people say, I hadn't heard of the guy, where's he been? You look at, and I'm rambling here on a long answer for you, so I apologize. But
no problem, sir. The more the better for us.
Well, you look at our last two hires at offensive coordinator, Dana Holgorsen, when Coach Sumlin hired him and never called a play, and did fairly well, and then he left, and Coach Sumlin promoted Cliff Kingsbury, who had been coaching for 2 years and who was a quality control coach, to offensive coordinator, and everybody 2 years ago worried about that, and then we did pretty well the last two seasons. So when you compare Mike's background, at least to Cliff and Dana, he's actually coming into Houston. He's got a lot more experience, having been a coordinator at three different schools and called the plays successfully. So again, it's a long answer, but I'm extremely excited about it.
The more the better, and it's awesome. Certainly, we are very excited for him, and we know you guys are all going to make the best decision. On the flip side of the ball, we noticed you had to struggle a little bit on defense for the past few seasons, and to improve a little bit under Coach Brian Stewart. But how different will the defense be looking under the new defensive coordinator, Jamie Bryant?
Well, I think in the 4 years our staff has been here, by far, in 2011 we played the best defense. I think there were a number of reasons. Obviously, I say obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but to have Case Keenum back also helped our defense. As opposed to what we did in 2010. But a big part of that was the addition of Jamie Bryant, and not only Coach Bryant, but Carlton Hall as our defensive line coach. So, I think to play great defense, you got to have a number of things. I think you have to have a certain attitude to play defense. I think the kids have to learn the system, whether it's a 3-4, a 4-3, or a 1-9. I think the kids have to understand what you're doing so they can line up and react and play fast and not have to think. And Jamie Bryant is a great coach, and he's a tremendous teacher, and he's a tremendous motivator. And he's only been here 1 year, and I was extremely impressed by how he coaches, how he handles his players, and obviously the much improved play of our linebacking group this past season. So he's going to be our coordinator. We'll go to a 4-3 scheme, and we're going to have two defensive line coaches. Carlton Hall will coach our ends, and Ricky Logo will coach our defensive tackles. I think it's critical that you win football games, not only obviously with turnovers and certain things, but you got to control line of scrimmage both offensively and defensively. And I think you can do that better with 4 down linemen. When you look back at this last season, as much success as we had in the 3-4, we had 3 down linemen, and then we had a guy named Sammy Brown who was 6'3.5", 255 pounds, who stood up in a 2-point stance but rushed every down. So in essence, it was a form of the 4-3, and so that's what we're going to go to here.
All right. I guess we certainly wish him the best of luck. Coach, I imagine replacing Case would be the hardest thing, but people thought the same thing when Kevin Cobb left the University of Houston. How positive are you that U of H can continue having a tradition of great college quarterbacks? Well,
we've actually, this isn't public yet, we've actually appealed to the NCAA to get Case a 7th year, and we should hear something on that here in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. So.
Wow, really?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, no. I mean, it's the University of Houston. There's a lot of schools that have tradition winning and have tradition at certain positions. In Houston is one of those schools. At the quarterback position. You go back to the Klinglers and Andre Ware and Cobb and Case, and I'm excited about. Seeing how spring goes here with the quarterback position. I think there's a number of spots, both offensively and defensively, that guys will have to step up in show us that they're ready to play this spring, and obviously quarterback is one of them. David Pyland probably enters the spring as the leading candidate, more so than anything because of the experience he gained starting 8 games in 2010. Experience is something that is invaluable in my opinion. And we were fortunate to be able to redshirt him this season, and really he just shadowed Case all year, which I think will be great for him. He did not run the scout team. He got reps with our offense, and then he's got 3 years left. Bram Kohlhausen's a young man from Lamar that was a true freshman this year that we redshirted that I think's got tremendous upside. He's got a bunch of ability, and I look forward to seeing him compete this spring as well. Aaron Johnson is a young man that was a 3-year starting quarterback at Longview. He's been in our program 2 years. He's a safety and a receiver. Now he's moved back to quarterback. He's got a tremendous arm, and he's learning the offense and will compete for that position as well this spring. Crawford Jones, a young man that's been a walk-on in our program. He's our starting holder. He'll be a senior this upcoming season. He'll compete. And then Drew Hollingshead has been in our program. He'll be a junior. He'll compete as well. And then we got a freshman coming in, Rex Dawson, from Warren High School in San Antonio. So I'm excited about our depth. I'm excited, that we're going to be young. I've already met with a couple of our quarterbacks and made sure they understand, as I do not need to be Kevin Sumlin, they do not need to be Case Keenum. They need to establish themselves. They'll have their own identity. They're really anxious to learn and anxious to get going, and I'm looking forward to spring getting here in about 3.5 weeks.
So thank you so much for your time, Coach. We can sense the excitement and tenacity that you're going to bring to the program. I thank you so much for your time. I realize you have so much to do. I wish you the best of luck this offseason. I know you guys are making the best decisions.
Great. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. All right, CoogFans. That was head coach Tony Levine, head coach of the UH football team. As you can tell, very, very excited about the upcoming season. We've got plenty of depth going on. I think we'll be pretty solid for the next few seasons. I want to talk about a few things before we end the show today. quarterback Case Keenum was at the Combine yesterday. Had a little bit of struggle throwing the ball. Spoke to Houston Texans beat writer John McClain. His prediction is Case will be about a 4th or 5th round pick, depending on what team needs a quarterback at that time. Now, what has stood out completely, what people are saying about Case, is that his confidence, his poise, his rationality. They said, according to CBS Sports here, that when he was questioned during the press conference, usually the seniors and the people who are going to get drafted, they're usually a bit nervous and giving really shaky or sketchy answers when asked about questions about the performance. Case here is saying that he's ready, and he said there are going to be 31 teams that are going to be missing out on him. So with his confidence and with his accuracy, I think he will be drafted to at least a good team, and whoever has him, I'm not saying he's going to be a starter right away, but whoever has him will be lucky, and the other 31 teams will be missing out on him. Our recruiting class this year has been one of the best so far. The biggest commodity has been so far DeAndre Greenberry coming out of California. He was going to sign with Notre Dame, it says here. Somehow, the University of Houston has managed to take him to the last minute. He's one of the 5-star recruits that U of H has gotten this semester. One of the highest profile players coming out of college, coming out of Rivals.com. Looking for him to make a big impact next season. Would fit perfectly in the speedy offense that we have here at the University of Houston. I think he would start right away. Look for him to be a deep threat as well. His size and his agility will contribute as well. Look for maybe, I would say, what's comparable to a Justin Blackman type player. Next as well, the student referendum has been passed through. Still no decision on where the temporary place was going to be. I think Reliant is the highest candidate at this moment. They're still thinking about moving the stadium to somewhere else as opposed to where Albertson is right now. The decision is going to be made up until March. On U of H baseball, U of H losing to Texas State last night, going shutout 0-6. Now 0-6 means finish the series. We'll start in the Baseball Classic. The Minute Maid Baseball Classic is this Friday against Tennessee. Other upcoming events for this week will be the UH Baseball versus Rice, which is going to be tomorrow. We're also going to have men's basketball versus Tulane. That's going to be the home debut finale. Also, the women's basketball will take place the day after that. We'll also have UH softball versus Nebraska and Tennessee for the Minute Maid Classic on Saturday, along with another baseball game against Arkansas the following day, and UH softball versus Texas A&M. With basketball, UH winning against Southern Miss a few days ago, top-ranked Conference USA team at the moment. UH pulling off a last-minute victory over that, big accomplishment for the Cougs. We also have a victory, one last game tomorrow against the Tulane Green Wave. That will be the last game played at Hofheinz Pavilion this semester. Be sure to catch that. Be sure to catch your Cougs one last time at Hofheinz Pavilion. Joseph Young, probably the best player on his team, point guard out of Yates High School. For those of you who are not familiar with the program, Yates is one of the premier programs in the nation, leading the state with 4-H state championship as well, playing the best point guard as he can be. He's only a freshman, so look for him to make some noise throughout his tenure here at the University of Houston. They'll close out the season against Rice. Next week is going to be March 3rd at Rice Stadium. We still have one more game tomorrow night at Tulane to close out the home season. Obviously, baseball, we're going to start up the Houston College Classic against Tennessee, Arkansas, and Tech. It'll take place this weekend. And that's it for your upcoming sports updates. I'm Mo, once again, with CoogFans. We'll bring you weekly updates on events and news occurring at the University of Houston, upcoming events as well throughout the semester and throughout the month. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you for your time. Tweet us, follow us on Twitter at CoogFans. Also join us on our Facebook page, our CoogFans website as well. Thank you so much for listening.